Can they hear me? They hear me live out there. Next beat. That ain't the beat I wanted to.
Those was wood
another
beats
beat.
right
Another
there.
beat. Nope. Give me another beat. Give me another beat. Nope. That's not it. That's the beat. Turn it up.
Oh, word.
Turn it up. I gotta hear it a little louder. Can you make it louder than my headphones? Turn me up in my headphones. I'm still stuck in the 80s/90s. Lottos, kangaroo boots, nanny ghosts, Velas, jumpsuits and troops, Junos, color Levi's, Bugs Bunny sweaters with the rhinestone ring on it. Fighting and making up the next day. Nobody getting shot. Working or hustling to get it or get got. We had love for the streets, our family, our foes, our friends. Respect for the elderly. Pager/payphone, sneaking into Adams Theater, watching Crush grooving tougher than leather. Hopping gates out the college port to bank out, cause you don't wanna get caught at mom's crib or at Von's crib. Eating funny dinner with the fam. Church every Sunday, 8 o'clock a.m. And even if I fell asleep in the back row or played sick, no matter what, man, I still had to go. 80s, baby. He's a DJ, I'm the rapper. He's a DJ, I'm the rapper. 80s, baby. He's a DJ, I'm the rapper.
Welcome to this super creepy and extra macabre edition of the X-Cast, episode number 66P to be exact. What does the P mean? It's a letter.
It means nothing because I don't recognize it.
Yeah, Adam doesn't recognize it, but that means, to those of you listening, that... What does it mean? It means that tonight is a Deep Issues edition of the X-Cast. It is still day 4,917 in search for Tim Shovelday. That does not change, but the Deep Issues does change. Tonight's Deep Issue, it's going to be a good one. This is one of those episodes where we're going to see how deep we want to go down the rabbit hole. I am your host, Josh Houselander. With me, as always, is our producer, the mastermind behind everything here at theempiremedia.com, and Deep Issues expert, Kyle Puska. How's it going, guys?
It's going good.
Good.
Our other Deep Issues expert, Mr. Ed Zaharsky, could not make this one, which is a bummer because he would have been an excellent addition, but he's a punk-ass bitch and couldn't make it.
I think he's out campaigning for Roy Moore, right?
I'm sure he had to take a trip down there. Yeah.
No, actually, Ed is actually working on a very important project right now, so he couldn't make it. So we won't.
He's going door to door for Roy Moore.
I don't know.
Not fair. He's not here.
No, he's not here, and that is certainly not what he is doing tonight. But tonight's Deep Issue is ghosts and parallel universes. Are those the same thing? No, not really. But we're going to kind of make them the same thing. We're going to talk about them. And what's that mean? That means we're probably going to end up talking about a whole bunch of other crazy junk too. So, like I said, this one was going to take us pretty deep down the rabbit hole. When we originally put this show together, when we dropped this in Pumpkin, when did we drop this in Pumpkin, Adam? This one's been in there a while, right?
Yeah,
this one's been floating around.
Yeah, I
in there.
can't quite remember.
I don't remember going in. So.
Okay. So
I think it was pre-me.
Okay, before Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
I know Nick was still on the show back when we were, throwing this one in. So it's definitely been some time, over a year.
Sounds like a Nick thing.
Yeah, I believe this was one that I originally asked Adam to put in, but I think I had a different idea of where it was going to go at the time. But that's okay. That's all right. We're gonna,
No, I'd like to throw alternate realities in there too, just for fun.
Yeah, hey, do it, man. Do it. Well, no, we're gonna, alternate realities, parallel universes.
Because parallel universes and alternate realities are different too.
Right. Yeah, and we've done alternate realities. We did a ghost show where we were on site searching for ghosts. We have done a parallel universe one, right, Adam?
Yes.
We've done simulation theory as well, which is one of my favorite topics. But we're gonna touch on all of that stuff tonight. So this could be a cool show. Let's jump into the ghost part. To start anyway, okay. and then see where we go from that, because we did do our ghost show. We did do Ghost Hunt, which, by the way, I should just ask this first. There's all these ghost hunting shows on TV now. I mean, they're everywhere. Everybody's ghost hunting. Everybody's looking for ghosts. Are these shows? Are they just bullshit?
I think so.
Probably, yeah. I mean, they go to some pretty spooky places, but
sure.
No, I think they're picking up some energy type, but I don't think it's per se ghosts like we all think they are.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, because I believe in this stuff. I believe in a lot of this stuff, but I don't really believe those shows.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Again, we're in the day of let's make a buck, right?
Right. They seem more kind of like...
All you got to do is talk about, look at this electromagnetic something's up in doobie-dop.
Right.
And look, here, it's going off. Oh my God, I think it's a ghost. I mean, come on, really? That's kind of the whole hypocrisy of it. I mean, I think there's a lot of amateurs out there that are just out there to make a buck. That kind of dilutes the whole experience.
I just feel like it's just another example of reality TV, and
Trump can be proud.
I don't think there's any faker TV than reality TV.
It seems disingenuous.
Yeah, I don't buy it. But I know that our ghost hunting show, Adam, that one was 100% real, 100% everything.
real.
But what happened on our ghost show? We didn't find any ghosts.
No.
we went to some very creepy places. We saw some creepy stuff. We saw some really cool stuff, and we got some good footage. We got a lot of great feedback from that show too. But we didn't see any ghosts.
No ghosts at all.
Yeah, no. We didn't see anything. We went to some haunted, scary, really creepy, really cool
Well, don't
places.
you find it weird sometimes, and I don't know if about you guys, but if you're getting someplace, you automatically, the hair on your neck stands up, you get ghost chills and stuff. Think about it. You have to be walking into some type of energy field for it to have that effect. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that would mean to me that's kind of a ghostly experience,
Sure.
in itself. Because again, I think you just walk into something you don't understand, and you have a sensation because your body's basically freaking out. You know what I mean? Because it just got inundated with some type of energy that our body didn't know how to respond to.
There are many people out inside and outside of the science world that like to point out that, in their opinion, that Albert Einstein, one of the most brilliant men ever, in a lot of ways, proved the existence of ghosts, when Albert Einstein basically proved that energy never disappears from this world.
Well, again, that's the first law of thermodynamics, right?
Sure.
You can either create or destroy energy. So that means it's transferred. So let's talk about a corpse, right? What's going to happen? The body's going to start to decay, give off heat. Heat is energy, right? Goes up into some ether, wherever. And then, the carcass and the flesh and all that's going to be consumed either by animals, which will be recycled and or be absorbed into the ground,
Sure.
By water and rain and energy. So it's converting back into itself. So I think the question that we all have in our mind is there a, let's just say, compact of energy that travels from experience to experience, that gets into the soul talk, right?
And can energy just simply get stuck somewhere?
Well, yeah, and I think it can. I mean, we can trap energy. One of my careers was dealing with magnets. What is a magnet? Think about what a magnet is. It's quite fascinating. Is we are making an arrangement of atoms on a microscopic level, and all of a sudden we're going to say, boom, throw some energy into it, and it stays and it doesn't move out. You know what I mean? We've trapped it. Trapping energy. So that kind of in and itself says if you can play around with energy a little bit, you know what I mean? And,
Sure.
And quite frankly, who really, we're limited in our perception of, 3 dimensions. Who's to say you had the fourth, which again is time by Einstein himself. Sure. You throw time into some of these equations, and it's going to lead to some crazy ass experiences.
Right. I mean, and that's, I never liked to question Einstein ever. And I kind of go with that, the fourth dimension is time. But many believe that time isn't a dimension, that time doesn't exist at all. That time is simply relative. That all things are overlapping at all times. Mm-hmm. Time is nothing more than how we, as mere mortals, try to understand what's going on around us. It's a tool. We assign time to things to try to say, well, what did this happen? No, it's all happening at the same time, but we try to understand what's going on around us by putting it in the past, present, and future.
Exactly. I think it's important as, let's just call it, if we get into the soul discussion, here goes the first rabbit hole, right?
Sure.
Right? So you experience something, that's how you attain energy, right? And then if you have another experience, you're going to take on more energy, right? And so your energy that you're able to contain yourself with increases with experience, right? And that's, strip all that away. What's that? Oh, that's evolution, where you're having energy move from one state to the next. If you look down at the microscopic level, that's exactly what happens. You're seeing energy jump from the nucleus to up to the electron shells and back and forth and this, that, and then interacting with other atoms and jumping around. I mean, so it's all interconnected,
We're only interacting with one atom.
So...
Oh, atoms. I thought you were talking about our co-host.
Yeah.
My bad. No. I mean, it is. It's all simply a transfer of energy. And I like when you're talking ghosts, you're talking parallel universes. I like to try to break it down with the science, and then also try to break it down with the spiritual, because I don't think that they necessarily cancel each other out, or that they aren't both really important to this discussion.
Yeah, it's funny. You get a scientist and they're digging down trying to understand, right? And what it becomes religious experience.
Sure.
And even Einstein would admit to that. He was a religious person.
Yeah, he was.
Quite contrary. Most people at his peer level were all atheists.
Mm-hmm.
Because they didn't believe in the spiritual. But in the end, I think the spiritual is the foundation.
Yeah.
It is a game of, you have to believe that it exists and for it to exist. That is, by definition, the basic elements of religion.
No, you're absolutely right. And they're actually, from everything I've looked into, there are actually a lot more religious people involved in the hard sciences than people give any credit to. I know there's a lot of atheists in the collegiate and level and in academia, but there's actually a lot more religious people. Mickey Okeiku, I know, for instance, one of the most brilliant guys, devout Christian. I love Mickey Okeiku. Let's talk ghosts, and let's talk haunting, if you will, because this is something Adam and I were discussing off air before we were getting into this, the different types of haunting. Remember this last week, Adam, when we were talking about this? Or actually, it was over the weekend when we were talking about this stuff. And a lot of times, they talk about just the two types of haunting, intelligent and residual.
That's what I was looking for, the residual.
But really, from what I've kind of seen here, and this is not, I've taken other people's research here, and I've kind of done some stuff and just kind of mixed in some different things here, but I've kind of broken it down to 7 different forms of haunting that, and others have. I'm not trying to take all the credit for this. I'm not a scientist here. I'm just, reporting other people's stuff here. But the intelligent, of course, being the one. Actually, I'll rattle them all off, and then we'll kind of take a couple of minutes on each one and just break them down.
Do we need a notepad to write them down?
No, but if you want one, if you would like one, I can supply it for you.
Talk slowly.
Okay. There is the intelligent, the residual, the demonic possessed intelligent human entity, that's one, poltergeist, shadow people, and elementals.
Damn, you did your homework.
It's my job. I'm a podcaster. Yeah. We do our homework. I'm a research guy. That's what I went to college for, was to do research.
It's a good discipline to have.
Yeah, it doesn't. What can you do with a graduate level degree in research? You can host a podcast.
A good one.
And not get paid for it.
Right, yeah. Get paid very little. But, okay. Intelligent, basically. What is intelligent? And feel free to jump in, because I'm only going to say a couple of words about each of these.
Ooh, I know.
Intelligent is basically, this is a ghost or a spirit or something that can communicate with you. And that can communicate and can interact with you.
Do they know? Does that spirit know that it's a spirit?
It does.
Okay.
It does. They communicate with you, they interact with you, and they are possibly either stuck between dimensions, or they can move freely back and forth through the dimensions. There seems to be data to support both of these things.
Hypothetical.
Okay.
You've made it to the other side. Everything's great. You can do whatever you want on the other side. Do you really think you're going to want to come back and be a part of this disaster?
Well,
going on here as a human experience?
Hauntings.
I just always wonder about that.
Hauntings are rare, and many of the intelligent hauntings seem to be somebody that feels something is unfinished in their life.
Conflicted.
Yeah, they are conflicted about something. They want to finish something in their life. They know they're a ghost. They're here. They're talking to you. A lot of people think that intelligent hauntings are bad or evil. No, not really. These are the hauntings that are going to be the personality of that person. If they were a jerk while they were here, they're probably still going to be a jerk
in the afterlife.
In the afterlife, if they were nice,
so what you're saying is,
and trying to do something,
personality transcends through.
But Brett, yeah, Yeah, I mean, or
Okay.
yeah, it does it remains.
That's what
Maybe
I'm
it does not translate. You know, I mean, it remains within the person.
Right.
So,
So you think
if they were trying to do
there's
something,
a core essence to in every individual?
I think to some degree.
Do you?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah, I mean, I kind of.
Well, it's this core essence that will evolve to a ghost.
Right.
You know, is what I'm thinking.
Sure. You know,
I'm sure
they're-
language also
their soul,
transcends.
I mean,
Yeah.
so whatever it is they feel that, you know, I mean, and if you have eternity and you can move back and forth freely, well, then maybe you come back every once in a while.
Yeah, I just think the incentive would be. I don't know what the incentive would be.
But then you maybe lean more towards, if you're a believer in this, you may lean more towards the fact that they're stuck here, that they cannot leave here.
I think once you move past this plane, I don't think that that's true.
Yeah, I mean,
I
but
would hope, God, you know,
but-
God, I've left this. Now I can't get back out if I go in there.
No, I mean,
you know, that
for
would piss
whatever
me off.
reason, if their spirit feels so conflicted that they simply cannot leave,
So they're a mind, and they're a prisoner of their own mind.
right, or there could be other things that keep them trapped there too.
Outside
Other
influence?
other bits of energy that keep them trapped there. Number 2, we got your residual, right? Your residual hauntings are your basic. These are when you're at the field in Gettysburg and you hear cannons.
It's the tape recorder.
These are something that basically the idea of a residual haunting. Stairs are huge for residual hauntings.
Okay, all right.
You know, you hear people. There's so many things
I
across
totally
the world.
believe this because if you guys been in an old house, Josh been in my mom and dad's house,
Yep.
you just get a feeling when you're in that house. Do you
Right.
not?
Absolutely,
Because
absolutely.
there's just so much life experience that's went on for so long
a
that it kind of just is residual.
right, a residual.
And I can tell you, of all the hauntings I
Sure.
ever had, I personally haven't had any in that house. But my buddy swears to God on his day, he was sitting in the chair. I was sitting in the chair. He was across from me. We were playing euchre or something. And all of a sudden, I watched him. He just turned pale white. I mean, and started sweating. And I'm going, what's wrong with you? And he wouldn't say nothing, And he goes, something just came up from behind you. You know,
Oh, God.
No, he freaked out.
No, I believe him.
Yeah.
That's creepy as fuck.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Right.
and he seriously, after that experience, we couldn't play the game no more. He said, "I have to go to sleep," and went to sleep. And I mean, he wasn't freaked out enough that he left, but
Sure.
but he's, you know, we're 20s, whatever. He's,
I definitely wouldn't be going to sleep. I would probably.
I think he was just so. I think it just. Basically, he saw a ghost and didn't know how to comprehend it mentally.
Sure,
You know what I mean?
sure.
And who knows? He said it came behind me. It didn't freak me out. I didn't really care.
Yeah.
But, you know, to this day, I don't care. But there is a feeling in that house. I mean,
Now, residual hauntings can take place in a lot of different places, lots of different levels. But let's theorize here. And again, this isn't my theory. This is stuff I've read here. But let's theorize. Why battlefields? Why stairs? They happen in other places, but these are really common places. Old battlefields, old stairs.
Battlefields is easy.
Yeah,
you
I agree.
would think.
Right,
Yeah.
but why stairways? Same reason as a battlefield. So much energy has been expended on that staircase.
Because you're trying to get up the damn thing.
Because you're always walking up the stairs over and over and over and over again every single day of your life, and then you die. These ghosts will not interact with you.
Their energy.
It is just them
residual energy.
replaying, like Adam said, replaying the tape. They are simply, this is them doing the same thing over and over and over again. So much energy was expended
That's,
in that
It's staying.
exact spot that it doesn't just go away.
No.
It doesn't. It's still there. It's there forever.
so how do you capture it? Do you?
Yeah, I don't think you do.
What's the point? Right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think.
Well, maybe
that
it's
this is,
maybe it's a secret to life.
sure. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, is this a spirit?
Because this is something from a human being that has shed itself from the host and is being left, right? And you know what's weird about that concept is you look at all these alien type movies. Isn't that the same principle?
Mhm.
It always the creature always sheds.
Sure.
So
That leads us to our next one,
Right.
to demonic. Now, this is a different kind of idea, and I could see where somebody would believe in one of these things or not, or both of these things, or neither of these things. You know, I mean, but I could see where if you are a believer, you're on board with demonic and not the ones we just talked about, or vice versa.
Mhm.
And basically, demonic is the idea, just like it says, it's a demon. This is a demon coming to this planet. This is a more powerful being than you.
I think we need to define demon. a negative energy that can overcompass some positive energy to some degree.
This is evil energy. They have wit, they have intelligence, and they are here for whatever reason to inflict mental or physical anguish and torture.
So this is just a sub category of intelligent.
Well, no, because this was not a human.
Okay.
An intelligent haunting says that this was a human who is dead, who is still here, stuck here, or remained here on purpose for some reason.
Right.
For some reason. But a demon isn't a human.
Right. It's this energy that's coming here. Maybe come to a host body, whatever.
Right. And the host body part leads us to number 4, because this is demonic possessed intelligent human entity, which is not a demon. This is the idea that
a soul's trying to communicate.
Right, that something is taking over a host body.
Right.
Now, when something is...
It's freaky as shit, but I think it's possible.
No, I think it is
Scientifically, it is possible.
And there's a lot of data to back up this happening.
From a scientific perspective, I think it is.
This is a living human possessed or oppressed by a negative entity. Yeah. You can get as spiritual or as religious with that as you like, but basically by a negative entity.
Let's rationalize this.
Sure.
Okay. If someone in your immediate family is having a bad day, how long does it take to distort the whole group? It's pretty quick.
Oh, yeah. No, negative energy can be extremely powerful.
I mean, it'll suck the energy out of one negative entity out of a group of 5, let's just say. If that negative is so negative, it'll draw the whole group down.
Extreme power.
Extreme power. So if I'm having a bad day,
your wife and your child are going to have a bad day.
Yeah.
Right.
No, that's
and it happens.
It happens all the time.
Kyle, it's a very practical way of looking at it.
Yeah. And basically what you're looking at here and what a lot of reports talk about with this is that sometimes you are possessed and sometimes you are oppressed. Possessed, obviously, meaning that they have taken over your body. You now aren't really you.
Right.
You are going to exhibit traits that are potentially not human. We're talking exorcist level stuff here. You can do things that a normal human couldn't do. But on the other hand, and this partially ties into the oppressed idea of demonic possession, is that there are reports of basically you are possessed demonically and it doesn't truly take over until you're gone, until your spirit is dead. And now it still remains within the physically dead body.
I've heard that.
I'm not trying to talk zombies here, but I'm kind of talking zombies here. You know
what she did? Your hunting daughter.
Creepy stuff, man. Creepy stuff.
No, I've heard that before, and basically the soul, and they call it an exchange sometimes.
Sure.
And there's even reports of the souls actually exchanging and returning. You know what I mean? When they have an experience, go back and come back. You know what I mean? And you spirit guides and stuff. You hear so much talk about. Same thing. They allow you or give you energy, I think in some cases to help you have a different experience, to help you cope with maybe an experience that was negative.
Yeah, you're right.
And maybe that little extra boost. I hate to say this, cats, they kind of irritate me, but at the same time, when they're on your lap, they're all warm. I feel like I'm getting their energy and, making me warm. Right?
Yeah, cats never sit on my lap. They hate me as much as I hate them.
I know. True. My cats try hard, but they,
Okay, now this is one that until I did some research here in the last couple of weeks, I was wrong about this. I didn't realize what exactly it was. And I admit the reason is because I saw the stupid movie in the 80s, or in the 90s, whenever it was. But that is a poltergeist. It's a poltergeist. What is a poltergeist? Now, truly, that dumb movie, or series of movies back in the day, should have been called Poltergeist. It should have been called Demonic Possessed Intelligent Human Entity. But that's a shitty name for a movie. So I can see why they went with Poltergeist. But Poltergeist isn't about demonic possession. It's not about stuff. Poltergeist is when that door keeps slamming when nobody's in the room. It's when no matter what you put on this one shelf... That movie, I'm talking about how dumb it was, but that movie scared the crap out of me. That Quaker Oats guy in the background, just, oh my God. I didn't sleep for weeks when I was a kid. But, you know, this is that one shelf that you put stuff on and stuff always falls off of it. Yeah. This is the energy that is being displaced, if you will. Now, what's very strange, and I did not know this, about poltergeist type hauntings or interactions is that, and this part I guess is true with the old movie, is that it is almost always surrounded around a teenage girl, a pubescent girl. And there's something about the energy that they give off. There are other instances, and the second one, the more rare one being a teenage boy, and then the even more rare one being an adult. But this is usually surrounding a teenage girl who is going through some sort of stress, which isn't unusual for a teenage girl. You know, I mean...
As you're going through now.
Right, for sure. But this is usually almost always surrounded behind a teenage girl. And usually this girl has no idea. She is the complete unknowing participant in this. She might know that the stress is going on in her life, but she has no idea that she is the one.
My first thought on it, quite frankly, when you start talking about it, was help her. I don't know why. You know what I mean? And I think these are spiritual energy that helps.
Yeah.
And who's more goddamn emotional than anything in the world?
Right.
A teenage girl.
Right. And
perhaps they're going through the maximum emotional experiences of their life.
And perhaps it is just simply...
So it's a tool to help them evolve.
Perhaps it is simply that it's so much is built up that instead of it going inward and hurting the individual, or it being pushed directly outward and hurting a different individual, the energy is simply manifesting itself in other places around the home.
Could be.
You know, I mean...
I believe that. I also, throw a twist on it, synchronicity plays a role here too. Right? The signs, if something keeps happening to you, listen.
Right,
it's the universe saying, hey, dumbass, wake up.
Right. So basically, when someone says poltergeist, they really aren't saying anything more than activity taking place.
Fair enough.
Is pretty much what you're talking about when you're talking about a poltergeist haunting. Now, the next one. This is something I was glad that I saw this included in a lot of the lists I was looking at, but it's shadow people. And this is something we've talked about on other deep issues as well. But shadow people being this idea that a lot of people see throughout their homes, throughout walking down the street. And, some of the top examples of shadow people are hat men. Guys I see supposedly look like they're wearing a top hat. The human ghosts who are just kind of wispy and smoky. Shadow people are the thing that you see run into the distance and disappear. They are the thing that runs behind the TV, runs into the darkness, runs into a shady corner, runs into somewhere, and you see it out of the corner of your eye, and you just simply, you saw it, but you don't know what it is. Where we've mentioned this in the past, I don't recall if you were on this show or not, Kyle. I don't think you were, but I know Adam, when we had our show about the Men in Black.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Men in Black. Show, yeah. Men in Black is often, some people wonder, is this shadow people? Are these people there? Or is this something that you're seeing out of the corner of your eye, and it's something from
Again, it could go spirit guides too.
Sure. Lay over from a different dimension. Just something you're not supposed to see, but you see it for a second.
I know you fucking hate cats, but I know you hate cats, but...
You can say fuck, don't worry about it.
All right. So I know you hate them, but cats sometimes will do the weirdest ass shit, or a dog will just look at you like it's looking at something above your head.
Yeah.
No, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I wonder if they're not,
Little kids do that from time to time as well.
It's true. Or they're taking a good old shit.
Yeah. Little kids are... But I was going to say, Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones are certainly real, so,
That's true.
Yeah,
good point. Good point.
But it's, You mentioned little kids, though. Little kids are creepy as hell when it comes to that.
Yeah, they my kid said some, I won't even say it right now, freaked me out, when he was like 2 and 3 years old.
Yeah, Josh was telling that story.
Yeah, maybe I'll retell that in a little bit, too, because there was a story I told on air about my youngest son, your nephew,
Mhm.
Kyle,
Yeah.
who that's pretty creepy. It's pretty creepy.
Don't.
Okay, you want me to just throw it out? Okay, I can.
Creepy in a good sense.
Yeah, it's not bad.
No,
I mean
no.
it's creepy, but it's my youngest son, and at the time I prefaced it by saying I don't normally talk like directly. I talk about how I have kids, but I haven't talked directly about
them, right?
about my kids on the show too often. But my youngest son, Grayson, had been talking a lot
He likes to
about
talk.
he does like to
Yeah.
talk about his great grandpa.
Your dad?
My dad's dad.
Okay.
Well, is who I think. I have no idea. He's never met
Could be Mike's dad.
both of his great grandfathers. Well,
Okay.
all of his great grandfathers died before he was born.
Right.
None of them. Some of my kids were around to know.
Your great grandpa.
My grandpa.
Right.
Some of them were. Grayson was not. He's my youngest
Yeah,
kid.
your other two didn't. No.
My oldest two knew him. My third kid was alive when he was alive, but did not get to meet him. He actually died a couple weeks after she was born.
Oh, okay.
But and I'm guessing it's my dad's dad, but it's not his only. But my son, he's 2, almost 3. So when he's talking about his great grandpa, we kind of think, because he kept asking, we're going to a family party. He'd say, is great grandpa going to be there? We're like, well, which one's great grandpa? We're like, well, your grandpa's going to be there. And, I'd be taking him to my parents' house. I'd be like, well, grandpa's going to be there, but he's not great grandpa. And you're just thinking, is this a verbiage thing where he's saying, oh, he's a great grandpa?
Right.
He loves him.
You're trying to say 2-year-old don't know the difference?
But so then I'm kind of talking, my, his mom's dad is a little older, so I'm thinking like, oh, are you talking about mommy's dad? He's like, no, great grandpa. I'm like, okay. He's like, the tall one, the really big dude. And I'm thinking, I guess everybody's tall to a 2-year-old, but
right.
But thinking, well, that sounds like my grandpa.
Your grandpa's tall.
Yeah, he's pretty tall dude.
Taller than you and your dad, right?
Yes, definitely. My other grandfather was not. He was actually shorter than me, and there's very few men on planet Earth who are shorter than me.
So that's what happened.
But and I'm thinking, there's a lot of stuff in my house. I have a lot of his old war memorabilia hung on the walls in my apartment. And my son starts to talk about how he's like, great grandpa. He's like, he's been driving me crazy. He keeps messing up my hair. He's funny though. He's funny. He's always making me laugh, but he's always messing up my hair. I'm like, okay, well that's weird. And then he's talking about this one plane. And he's like, no, that's my favorite plane. Great grandpa gave me that. When I was sitting on the couch, he walked over and gave it to me. Like, okay.
This is at the old house, right?
No, this is at my new place.
Okay.
Yeah, this is very recent.
Okay.
This is very recent. And then his mom, who we're divorced, starts texting me stories about like has Grayson been talking about has Grayson been talking about great grandpa? She was like, what color were your dad's eyes? Or were your grandpa's eyes? I'm like, I don't know what color dude's eyes are, so I'm not sure. But but because he keeps saying they're like kind of like bluish gray eyes.
Hazel green.
I'm like, okay, well that's weird. And I guess to make it weirder is, and this kind of goes back with the intelligent haunting idea of somebody stuck here for some reason. Is my niece, who did know him briefly as a very little girl, or at least was, I don't know if she remembers him. My sister's kid, right. My sister's oldest, was at one point saying the same thing when she was very little. And she even came home from school the one day because she kept talking about how she had seen somebody, was seeing something out the window, and they thought that was kind of weird, and there's something along these lines. She came home from preschool, and she says, "Oh, Grandpa came and visited me at preschool today." My sister says, "He did?" She calls my dad. Says, "Did you come visit? Did you come stop by Ella's school today?" It's like, "No, I'm working." Like, no. Why? She's like, "He said it was Grandpa, the one with the cigar." My grandpa always had a cigar in his mouth. Always had a cigar in his mouth. And
she's what, 2 again?
At this point, she was probably 3 or 4. Okay. Now she's,
right. Older.
Older than that. But she, basically, she says, no, not your dad, not Papa. Great Grandpa, the one with the cigar. He stopped by school today and said hi. And I'm just kind of thinking about this, and I'm kind of trying to analyze it, and I'm throwing a lot out here, I realize, and I'm theorizing on
Well, me and
a lot
Anna,
of different stuff.
this is why when I say cats and little kids, look at you go.
Yeah, it's crazy
So
stuff,
they're
man.
tuning in.
Right.
And you know what's weird? I think we are so busy with our lives sometimes that we just tune out a lot.
Right.
We tune a lot.
Yeah.
And you could do a game. This illusionist was on TV. Finn was watching some YouTube thing, and he's doing all this, that, and the other. People don't pay attention. What's going on around you? You know, and me and Finn did a little experiment, and we're both right there seeing it, and we both didn't pay attention. And it's because you're just distracted 100% of the time. It's distraction.
That's a good point. I mean, even today, like I was.
So I guess sorry to interrupt, but my point is, maybe he's here for you too,
Right,
but
maybe.
you just tuned him out.
Right. No, and I wonder that too.
And kids just are at a different level of experience.
Well, no, you look at what ruins your day, and like for my kid, he's gonna be 4 tomorrow. What ruins his day? Take for instance, yesterday, he didn't eat all his dinner, so he couldn't have a cookie after dinner.
Right.
And that was the worst part of your day. I mean, you think about the worst part of your day,
Right.
and there could be a number of things that happened to you that day that will contribute to how awful that day is or how good that day is. I mean, a good day for adults is a limited amount of bad things happening that day. I mean,
Right. Yeah.
I mean that's basically what an
Less than
adult.
10, good day.
Yeah. Grab the mail. Nothing said past due.
Yeah, exactly. And I tell that to my wife all the time. I'm like, did the mail come? She's like, oh, nothing came today. I'm like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, exactly. Remember, as a kid, you love getting mail.
Yeah,
As
you
an
love
adult,
getting
it's
mail.
like you dread it.
Yeah, it's like, okay, what bill am I going to get this time? But I mean, that's another good point you bring up, Kyle. That maybe there is more going around us than adults are cognizant of,
Sure.
because we just have so much going on in our heads, so much going on in our lives. Whereas a little kid, what do they have going on? I mean, that may be a little naive of me to say, but
No, it's not
true.
naive at all, because think about, back when we were kids, remember how long our damn summers were?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, why? We weren't distracted.
Right.
Yeah.
There is a thing called time increases the more you're engaged, because you forget about it.
Right.
Right? And when you're a kid, it drags on and drags. I remember being in 4th grade going, we run out of time, and everyone goes, stare at the clock! Because if we stare at the clock, time will stop. You know what I mean?
No, that's true. That's true. Or like if you have a busy day
so
at work.
it's perception. I mean, it's your engagement, and if you're focused on it, and if you let things go, time's going to cruise by, and you don't even know it.
Yep.
Right, and you're losing experience. This is a life lesson too. It's like, slow down.
Yeah. No.
You know what I mean?
that-
Appreciate what you have.
If you've ever fallen off a ladder, it's like forever till you hit the ground.
Any accident,
Right,
Remember we had car accidents, and 4-wheel accidents. I remember the 4-wheeler turning around, looking back at it as I'm rolling on the grass, and it's rolling towards me, and I'm trying to get out of the way.
Right.
But yet it all seemed like it was like an hour,
Sure.
and in reality it was like 10 seconds.
Right. Yeah.
So the time dilation, and Einstein talks about that too.
This is
is
the old. I mean, this is the watch pot never boils. In essence, in a lot of ways, you're boiling water if you sit and
Schrodinger's
stare at
cat,
it.
right?
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
You don't know if the cat's dead until you look and see if it's alive or dead, right?
Right.
So up until that point, it's 100% probability.
No.
It's either dead or not.
Now, I have a bit of a theory about my grandfather
Yeah, that's a cool
kind
story.
of being haunting. By the way,
Yeah, tell me about
My-
his passing.
my theory. Well, he lived to be 90 years old.
Awesome.
I was very blessed. I'm a guy. I get to deer hunt with my grandfather up until I was in my 30s. I'm in my early 30s. I'm still going hunting with my grandpa. Still very active. But one thing I kind of theorize about him, and this might be a stretch. This might just be my own thoughts. Nothing more. But when I was in my late teens, my grandparents moved up north in Michigan, about 3 hours away. We didn't see him that much anymore. We didn't see him. I mean, I would go up and visit him a couple times a year. We'd see him on holidays. They'd try to come down for some birthdays, things along that thing. They'd come down a couple times a year. As an adult or as an older kid, I saw him more because I had a car. I'd go up and visit him. I'd see him, but I theorize that perhaps my grandfather regrets moving away and not getting to spend as much time with his great-grandchildren.
Oh, I agree. 100%.
I mean, and that would be perhaps a regret that would maybe keep you here.
Some unfinished business.
Unfinished business.
You know, I mean, maybe just has this opportunity to
how
try
cool.
to get to know my great-grandkids a little bit.
Well, I'm telling you, I think Finn was around that same age when he told me some stories,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And again, these were, I can't even talk about them right now
Sure.
because they were way,
Very
way
hair-raising.
deeper down the rabbit hole than where we were at, you know. But nonetheless, you know, so yeah, there's something else out there, you know, for sure. And, you know, so I think the whole, you know, entrapment of energy and people coming back for certain things, yeah, you know. Now the other alternative, what people would argue is that a mind construct, you know, for the individual, you know, because, you know, people see what they want to see, and, you know, we're proof of that right now in Trump world, you know. You know, hey guys, the sky's blue. Nuh-uh. That's not what I heard.
That's fake news.
It's fake. It ain't real. You know, I mean, think about it. These people are so, I mean, the point is, whatever they are, what they are. But, you know, once people believe something, they believe it.
Right. No, you're
You
right.
know?
The one that we left out that I haven't got to yet, and I want to, other people didn't do this, but I wanted to make an eighth one, being angels.
Spirit guides, angels.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, angels and things like this, because this is a haunting in some ways, and we cover demons, but then there's this idea of angels, so I guess we're going to kind of lump angels in with the elementals.
Yeah, well, what the experience you just described, I would call that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? An angelic experience, because there's no harm done. The harm was to, you know, calm the child, probably.
Sure.
Because again, think about this: like, a child's coming into this crazy ass world, you know, not even truly understanding it, and we are horrible communicators at that time.
Right.
You know, we really are.
Yeah.
You know, and so maybe entities such as your grandfather were put here to help the child cope. Because you could argue that maybe at both times in those child's lives, they needed a little extra to help them cope with their experience.
Sure. And
you know what I mean?
And, you know, I mean...
So
and
who knows?
A kid doesn't think it's weird because they've never been told that ghosts aren't real.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, it's, you know, it's getting to be around Christmas time. You guys remember It's a Wonderful Life, right?
Yeah.
Sitting in the bar with the angel and, you know, the goofy...
What was his name again? I forget the angel's. What was it? You know, Adam.
For which one?
It's a Wonderful Life.
It's a Wonderful Life.
The angel is, what's his name?
Oh,
I've
I
seen the
don't know.
movie a million times.
Clarence.
Yeah, Clarence. Yep,
Yeah.
yeah. He calls him Gabriel to be
Right.
obnoxious, but yeah, Clarence. So he's sitting in the bar with Clarence, and Clarence says, it's kind of a profound scene. It's goofy, but it's kind of profound because he says, what's wrong? Don't they believe in angels? And he says, well, you know, I guess maybe they do. Well, then why would they be surprised when they see one? and that's true, because like you say that to people, like oh, do you believe in ghosts?
All right,
Then why are you surprised when you see one?
Let me ask you the question: what would you guys do if this behind me materialized on that couch?
I hope
We probably have to stop this whole.
Right.
I would.
We'd have to stop.
it'd
Right?
be great. The show would go viral.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'd be freaking.
Yeah, because I'd be shitting my pants on.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah,
be.
not because of the ghosts.
I
just
would
like-
be shitting my pants, but intrigued at the same time.
right.
So I'd probably sit around here soiled just to hear what this person or entity had to say, just to try to understand.
That would be the caption on the viral video, by the way. is,
Yeah.
Watch radio personality Andrew Hernandez shit his pants on air.
Well,
They wouldn't even mention the ghost. They would just,
oh yeah, there's a ghost down there too.
yeah, it's like, check it out. Oh, wow, it's because of a ghost. That's neat. But, you know, the difference, I guess,
It
between,
must stink in there.
you know, according to the way some of the supposed experts break this down, is the reason why there would be a difference between an intelligent haunting and an angel, or an elemental, which an elemental is kind of like gets into like gnomes and salamanders and undines and sylphs and things like that, you know. And I don't know how deep we really want to go with that. But the difference being, like we talked about with a demon, is that a demon's not a human. And an angel isn't a human really either. Although we were just talking about Clarence and, you know, and that's kind of this idea that you die and you become an angel. But truthfully, in religion and mythology and other things like this, elementals and angels and these aren't humans that died and then went up to heaven and became an angel. That's kind of like a more popular idea that, you die and you go up and you get your wings if you do something good. I mean, that's a Hollywood idea. It's a cute idea. It's cool, but an angel is supposed to be a different form of life created by God at the same time as the humans. That they're the angels.
I always figured that, the thing was that humans would eventually become an angel. Obviously if they had that. Did you ever see that movie, The Prophecy?
No.
No, it's Christopher Walken is in it. Yeah, it's a very, very creepy quote from it though, where they talk about would you ever actually want to see an angel? And this is the quote: "Did you ever notice how in the Bible, whenever God needed to punish someone or make an example, or whenever God needed a killing, He sent an angel? Did you ever wonder what a creature like that must be like? A whole existence spent praising your God, but always with one wing dipped in blood. Would you ever really want to see an angel?" That's true to some degree.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
it's like, yeah. I mean, would you ever want to come across an angel? Because if you come across an angel, what they're getting at with that quote from that movie was that, if an angel's here, something really, really bad must be getting ready to happen.
Right. And I mean, there's a lot of talk about this in in theology, in the Bible, in the Quran, for instance. This leads to a lot of debate with Islamic theologians as well, because when Muhammad was visited by an angel, the first few times he was visited, he swore that it was a demon, not an angel.
Mm-hmm.
That was visiting him, and that leads to a whole bunch of different theories on both ends of this spectrum as to what it truly was like. The movie, you want to talk about goofy movies that really have a lot of great theology in them, is the movie Dogma.
I love Dogma.
Dogma's a great movie. It's hilarious, but besides for it being hilarious, it is a great movie. And I mean, this whole thing with the
Did you have a little song for Alanis Morissette after that?
Yeah. You get to
she's God. I'll do her.
Yeah. I never found her attractive.
I mean, either not until that movie.
Yeah,
just because of the position of power.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever.
You want Dave Coulier's sloppy seconds, man? I don't know.
Not really.
Yeah, but you got Alan Rickman.
He's always an evil ass guy.
Yeah, he's just so cool in that movie, and you gotta love that movie because he's talking theology and he says that he's the metronome.
I just love him.
And no one knows what he is.
Elizabeth Hurley is a top 5 for me.
Oh, she's beautiful.
I love her.
Beautiful. Yeah. He says he's the metronome, and she has no idea. And then he says something about
because that was another movie
about the Ten Commandments or something along those lines. And he was like, "Oh, I forgot. You tell somebody you're the metronome, they look at you like you're an idiot. You mentioned something from a Charlton Heston movie, and everybody's a scholar." It's true, because that's what do we know about this stuff? Half the stuff we know is from movies or pop culture or whatever.
Dogma was a great movie.
No, it really is.
And there was a lot of philosophical point. I agree with you on that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, I really, I'm majorly on board with that movie.
That should be a high school guaranteed watch.
Yeah, I agree completely. I don't know why I put this at the bottom of this type page, but before we start moving into the parallel universes and some of the other crazy stuff, you guys ever done the Ouija board thing?
Yes.
I have.
Yes.
I mean, I did. I've never had any kind of strange experience with this.
There's a Ouija board here.
Is there?
Yeah.
No, I think it is. I think it is a transfer of energy for intent. If someone's thinking something, they're going to naturally direct it towards the letters. Mm-hmm. I've seen it happen a lot of times.
Sure.
I mean, we even talked about seances. I've never been to one, but
Mm-hmm.
Do I think they're there? I mean, you guys watch that Hollywood Medium? Have you watched that, kid?
Mm-mm.
Have you watched that show, Josh?
I have not.
This guy is probably 20 years old, and this guy is connected. There's absolutely no question why he's not. He's very, let's say, asexual.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know kind of where he is, but he is just like the nicest goddamn guy you ever seen in your life. And he can connect and talk about celebrities in ways. I mean, he's connecting to other people that have passed.
Sure.
There's no question. If you watch his show.
I always have a problem with those TV.
This one though seems pretty authentic. I do.
Chris Edwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just.
But this guy has. either he is that naive, or because he just doesn't look like the guy that's gonna want to exploit this to get money.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, you kind of see it a little bit. But he's got celebrities. I mean, he's done he did Alan Thicke before he passed away. And he basically predicted that, dude, go get checked out, and
wow.
2 months later, dead, but what was cool, though, is he went back and he communicated to the wife, from Alan to, through him, gave him messages and shit. And, to me, I don't usually get sucked into a show. And that one drove me a few times. And so, yeah.
I haven't seen this particular one. I'd like to, because I do like stuff like that. But, Adam, I tend to agree with you because... just kind of like the magician.
Not gonna lie.
When you see, if you see a magician and he fools you in person, well, that's something. But when I see it, the idea of a magician or a medium on television, I just feel like it's TV. It could be so fake. Like you see, I mean,
you can stop the film and do this and do that and do that.
Right,
yeah.
it's TV. I mean, just because I watch Star Wars doesn't mean
so
that
you're not
think,
Chris Angel and all that. I mean,
no, I'm not.
I'm not into them either.
No,
but what I'm saying, this Hollywood medium guy is a little bit different.
I don't think that Hayden Christensen can force choke somebody. But I've seen him do it. I mean, I don't.
It's not working?
No, it's not working, man. Adam's trying really hard, and I know he's really in tune with the Force, but he's not force choking.
Still nothing?
He's really trying really hard. But it's something that you bring up, though, because the power of suggestion is very real.
Mm-hmm.
And this has been, worked through the scientific method many, many times. The power of suggestion is very real. And you do often wonder, God, if you did that long enough, would my throat start to close up? I don't know.
I gotta try it.
Yeah, keep trying, Hey, maybe it'll shut me up on this show every once in a while.
It's the power of the mind, right?
Sure.
And, I'm a firm believer that, you get sick based on your experiences,
Oh, for sure.
Meaning, let's say you're running yourself ragged, doing this, doing that. Guess what? You're going to get a cold.
Yeah,
because, colds are a common symptom for that.
Oh, anxiety, depression, stress, they can absolutely
that's going
affect
to weaken your
physically.
immune system. Isn't it ironic that is?
Yeah.
How that is?
Yeah.
And, so what drives you up? And most people think it's beer, but no, that ain't it, guys. Sorry.
Mine is a powerful thing too.
Yeah, no, for
it
sure.
is a powerful.
No, absolutely.
It can heal you, or it can make you sick. Think
Yeah.
about that.
No,
I think I put did that ever come out of the pumpkin? That talk?
I'm not sure which one are you talking about.
I'm talking about the mind body thing.
I don't think it's come out of pumpkin yet. No,
Is it still in there?
it should be.
Yeah. If it's put in, it hasn't been taken out.
I'm just curious because that is, well, she just passed away, by the way. Louise A, who I was really thinking of about this. She died in August. She was like 96 years old. But what a tremendous life she had. She basically had nothing and grew a publishing empire worth billions of dollars on her death. And she just gave it all back. I don't think she lived very modestly, her whole life. So she was thankful. And she inspired, oh my God, tons. And I think there's a lot of validity in what she was promoting. Not everything I believe in, but some of it, certainly.
Let's try to switch gears here, but we're not ever officially fully switching gears on this show because we're trying to tie it all in together here. But let's move towards the parallel universes.
Okay.
Basically, I feel like a lot of times, a scientist, a teacher, a person says the universe. Universe is universal. It, by definition means everything. But what do you mean when you say universe? Do you mean there's universe, there's observable universe, there's universes, which should be contradicting of itself, but maybe it's not. And then there's the multiverse. And you can believe in one of those or several of them or all of them or whatever it is, but what exactly are we saying when we talk about the universe? Are we talking about everything? Are we talking about what we know? Are we talking about everything? And are we talking about everything just in ours? And then there's other ones.
I think. When you rationalize it, it's a position in time and space that would be defined as our universe, which we classify as the Milky Way, or that's a solar system.
not our universe.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So
Yeah.
the universe is beyond that, but could it have a term? We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
No one really has proved that there's a beginning or end to what it is.
Right. And
Right?
that's what, when scientists talk about the observable universe, we're talking about simply what we can see.
Right.
So is the observable universe the whole universe? Or is it just what the light has brought us thus far?
You
Because that seems like the
you hear the
obvious.
theories all the time of the ever-expanding universe,
Sure.
and then it becomes a point where it starts to retract on itself, and then that there and hence lies the ultimate black hole. But
Sure.
yet, when that event, all that transfer of energy, guess what? Then it explodes, and now you've created all these new realities, and then it just kind of process repeats itself.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
That's kind of a multiverse idea.
Yeah, expand the energy, and then it collapses on it. It gets so out there that it starts to collapse on itself again. That's some theories that I've heard out there that they're scientifically, yeah, they don't make sense in our way of physics. But you could, I'm not ignorant to believe that, our physics are based on what we know.
Sure.
And what we don't know is the universe. So in my mind, there's always a universal physics that's out there. And that's what, all our universities are putting all their money into try to figure out. They're not talking
Sure.
about worldly, physical. They're not trying to characterize that anymore. That's old news.
Sure.
They're going out in the universe now because they're trying to study the origins of life. That's still the holy grail.
Sure.
For all scientific universities and everything, and that's what's ironic.
Theory
about
of
all
everything,
Yeah,
right?
and that's what's ironic about all this is it's all interrelated. We're all about discovery. We want to understand our experience. I mean, that's really what that's what drives us, right?
Mhm.
Because we figure out if we can figure out how it works, maybe we can influence a little bit
Mm-hmm.
to my favor.
Sure.
Because right now I'm losing.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you talk about observable universe, you're talking about what you can see. Maybe
It's what you can't
maybe
see
it isn't
is
even
we're all-
expanding. Yeah. But if there is a higher entity right there who is perhaps looking at something in more than just 3D, what we view it in, then perhaps the unobservable universe is right next to us. You don't necessarily know that. It isn't necessarily that part of the universe that you haven't been able to get to yet.
Yeah.
It's what can't be seen by your specific
Right,
capabilities.
and let's go back to energy, right?
Sure.
You're going back to energy, and we only observe what we are able to receive.
Mhm.
Okay? And so if we're receiving energy, we're going to perceive that kind of energy. And I think it's 100% correlated, right?
Yeah.
The more it comes in, the more you observe. The less you come in, the less you observe. And I think it's up to us based on, and I think the mechanism that drives us is our emotions. You know what I mean? So that's what's kind of cool about all this, like going back to Einstein's thought. Thought is what drives. Thought is what makes you have an emotion, which then in turns make you, have, it sets off chemical reactions that then manifest into your realities. So going back to our observable universe, it's all we need. We can only observe so much.
Sure.
Based on the energy that we're receiving. Now, again, if we receive more, we're going to see more.
Sure.
If we receive less, we're going to see less. And to answer your other point, it's around us, and it always has been around us. You just not tuned in, right?
Yeah. No, absolutely.
And I believe that. I think that there's things around us that we still haven't harnessed that we could benefit from, but we're just not tuned in.
Sure. Now, when you're talking universe, an observable universe, these are ideas that there's a lot of scientific theorem, a lot of data to back these ideas up. Now, let's shift gears just slightly to multiverse. Multiverse, which we've already covered on its own show, so I don't want to get too multiverse tonight, because we've done it. And I hope people go back and listen, and maybe we'll even do some more on it in the past, and we'll do some on it tonight. But multiverse is awesome. I love multiverse. It's cool. But the problem I have with it is that there is virtually no scientific proof to back up multiverse. There really isn't. There's a whole bunch of smart people who theorize about this stuff, but truth is a lot of the things we say about multiverse isn't much different than some of the really cool ideas that have been relayed in X-Men comics. They're awesome, they're cool, they're fun. It's cool to talk about what if you could do this, or what if there was this. And it's a great theory. But it's really more of a philosophical theory than a scientific theory. I'm more of a philosophical guy than a scientist. I'm, my.
What about this practical theory that it's there, right?
Mhm.
Our inner voice
Sure.
is our multi-universal experience.
Could be.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it takes place outside of our body.
Mhm.
We are having conversations all day long.
Mhm.
Whether we're
Right.
talking to someone or not, conversation is going on.
Right. No,
So-
you're absolutely right.
So who's that going on with?
Right.
You know,
No,
I mean?
that is a deep thought.
Yeah,
and
then
I gotta like that.
And think about it. Usually, in your inner thoughts, is when you're rationalizing experiences that you're having, and you're going, "Oh, yeah, that's kind of well, no, that idea sucks."
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
But these are going on. We don't talk. No one talks about it.
Right,
You know
right,
what I
right.
mean? But it's there.
It is there. You're
You know
right.
what I mean? And so who's to say that isn't the multi-universe and is a mechanism to help us have a better experience?
And this is why we bring in, Ed couldn't be here tonight, but this is why we bring in these other deep issue experts,
Yeah.
because truth is, I'm more of a philosophy guy, liberal arts kind of philosophy guy. That's where my field of study was. Kyle's great with philosophy, but he's a hard scientist. He is a legitimate scientist.
I'm more material science.
Sure.
based.
And something that I like to point out that is very true, historically speaking, is that it wasn't until the last century that philosophy and the hard sciences were viewed as two different subjects. They had always been viewed as two sides of the same coin, in essence, philosophy and science. It was later then that they became basically two different things, and now we almost don't even view them as the same thing, but they're actually both really important to each other. So I almost feel like that should be a return to this in a lot of ways. Nick Bostrom, who we're maybe going to mention a little while later, who's basically the top guy when it comes to simulation theory, is a hard scientist and a philosopher.
Mm-hmm.
These are important things. But let's talk multiverse for a minute, because we broke down the different types of potential parallel universes, but let's break down multiverse a little bit further, because there's typically three types of multiverses that basically that people look at. Now, some believe in one of these staunchly, some believe in a crossover in one or more of these. But basically, you got the bubble universe, or the baby black hole, sometimes it's called. But the bubble universes are basically this idea that there's all the different bubbles floating around, but you can only see what's in your specific bubbled universe. And then sometimes, every once in a while, one of those bubbles bump each other.
And that's where the Duffer Brothers got inspiration for Stranger Things, that new hit
Okay.
series on Netflix.
Okay, very cool.
You know what I mean? So that's it. Basically, kind of what you described as kind of the Bubba was poked.
Okay, yeah, very cool.
You know,
Now then there is, to go further, another one is the membranes, or sometimes just called brains, or extra dimensions. This is this idea that I began to touch on earlier, and that Kyle expounded on, the idea that perhaps there is more like 9 dimensions.
about
We
10.
only see 3 of the
10.
9 dimensions.
I think Kaku is always a 10 dimension.
Is it?
guy,
Okay,
yeah.
is Mikio Keiko is a 10 dimension guy?
Yeah.
Does he count time? Is time one of them? Is that
I can't recall exactly.
okay?
I mean, his argument is, you can interlink. They're all interlinked, and you can come back to certain energy levels. Again, ironically enough, very similar to the behavior of an atom, and the electrons that travel, throughout an atom.
Sure.
Same type of energy transference,
Right.
only
And
on
if you
on
are
a larger scale.
And if you are a 3-dimensional being, then what's going on in the 4th, 5th, 7th, or 9th dimension won't be seen by you.
Nope.
Even though it's going on right there, because you are simply
it's
a
going
three-dimensional
on right
being.
in front of you, and you don't see it.
Right. There's 6 ghosts in between Kyle and I, and Adam and I, at this very table, but we just don't see them, or because they're on the different dimension.
They're trying hard to influence, but we're just not smart enough to receive it.
Perhaps, yeah. And then the third one, and this is the one you hear a lot. This is the pop culture loves this one a lot, and that is the many worlds. And quantum mechanics plays a huge part in this many world idea. And this is the idea, basically, in multiverse, that there's every possible universe exponentially, infinitely is happening.
Yeah.
That there's
in other words, if you think it, therefore it exists.
Right.
Somewhere.
Right. And this idea that basically, if you believe in this idea that there is every possible universe, then you pretty much have to believe that there is an infinite amount of them. That not only is there one universe where the only difference is Kyle has a ponytail. The only difference between this whole universe is that Kyle just never cut his hair. Ever. And you not only then, and this gets super deep here, and it's it's hard to wrap your head around, but you not only believe that there is, well, you believe that there's one universe where the only difference is Kyle has a ponytail, but you actually have to believe that there's an infinite amount of universes where the only difference is Kyle has a ponytail.
And in reality, it's infinite possibilities.
Right.
It's whatever you can think.
And so then you...
Going back to our think, thought thing.
Right. So basically then you're trying to say, okay, well, let's think about this. So every decision you've ever made and that every person who's ever lived has ever made, a different universe started at that moment when you made that decision because you didn't make the other decision. Because in the other universe, you made the other decision.
Well, I think life experience is really based on duality, right?
Right.
On, off, hot, cold, right, wrong.
Sure.
Right. But again, that's eye of the beholder. Because someone that says something is right, other person says, no, that's wrong.
Sure.
And, we're affected by different things. So our experience is duality.
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, Adam, how old were you when you became a vegetarian?
15.
15 years old. So at age 15, you sat down and made the decision, I don't want to eat meat anymore. For whatever reason, your own reasons, but you made that decision. You ate meat before that, you were fine, but before then you decided, I'm going to become a vegetarian.
Correct.
So there's an infinite amount of universes where...
He's not.
You didn't.
You're a steak eater.
Maybe you thought about it and you thought, I don't like killing animals, but I'm not the one killing them. I'm just... Maybe I just won't eat red meat.
What was the foundation? Was it philosophical or health or what?
Both?
Okay, fair enough.
Maybe there's one where you said
doing it because of health.
Sure,
myself,
yeah, for health reasons you stopped. Ed stopped for his own reasons too. I don't know,
Isn't that weird that you're the only meat eater?
It is. It's awesome because then I can buy habanero Slim Jims and just leave them here.
You can leave it on a table.
Yeah, I can just leave them here, and
even if you were to snitch, that would be like the last thing anybody would.
Which is that even meat though?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna read the ingredients. Yeah, it's mechanically separated chicken, and,
leftover, beef parts.
If you ever read a Slim Jim, that is one of the things is mechanically separated chicken.
Yeah, pork leftover.
Yeah.
Can you
Delicious though.
Can you separate a chicken enough times where it's not a chicken anymore?
Oh yeah, you can make it down to atomic level nothingness, right?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So there's an infinite amount of universes where Adam decided not to become a vegetarian. There's an infinite amount of universes where Adam decided to, I'm just gonna not eat red meat. And then there's an infinite amount of universes where you said,
I'm a pescatarian.
I'm gonna keep eating meat.
Definition.
But then at age 17, you said, no, I was right back then. I'm not eating meat. And what would that change? Well, would it change a lot? I don't know. Maybe it would. Maybe it wouldn't. I mean, this kind of gets into then you're talking chaos theory here now. Chaos theory, Hegelian dialectic theory. Which one is it? Does that have the butterfly effect? Do you decide to stop eating meat or to keep eating meat?
Is that what Dr. Malcolm did?
Does it completely change everything?
I think he probably...
Yeah, Dr. Malcolm was a believer in chaos theory.
Yeah. I think he added 2 years to his life expectancy.
Could be. I mean, that
who knows what he's going to do in those 2 years?
Yeah.
It could be life-changing.
That perhaps.
That's when he could get a revelation and bam.
Or he could get hit by a truck at a tofu convention. I don't know.
He could be the next Einstein.
Maybe.
How do we know?
But...
So,
if you believe in chaos
there is
theory,
a net effect.
as you're all chaos theory experts because you've all seen Jurassic Park, but basically in chaos theory, you're saying that's the idea, like Malcolm says, that one small thing happens and it changes everything. Butterfly flaps its wings in Central Park, and you have a typhoon in in Asia. This idea that everything affects things on such a huge level. If you go with the Hegelian dialect, it's in a lot of ways it's antithetical to this. It says that no, I mean, for the most part, things are going to happen the way they happen, and those minor things are going to affect minuscule parts of your own life. But at the end of the day, you still would have probably would have still met the same woman and had the same life, and and things wouldn't have changed. This idea that if you stop Princip from shooting the Archduke Ferdinand and starting World War I, that by chaos theory, well, of course, then Germany wouldn't have been upset by the way they were mistreated after losing the war. Adolf Hitler never would have happened, and the Holocaust wouldn't have happened. By Hegelian dialect, you would say that, well, no, something of that great magnitude was brewing through so many other things. So even if that didn't happen, Hitler still would have shifted the opinions of so many people and would have happened. And if it wasn't Hitler, then it would have been somebody else 5 years later. That was brewing, and it would have happened.
I think there are some things that
delaying a war wouldn't necessarily mean that the other one didn't happen.
All right, going back to some previous arguments we had about evolution, I think this falls in that line. You know what I mean? We're at a coalescence point where we needed to evolve. And unfortunately, there wasn't a majority enough to evolve. And so in the way that happens then, you have such a negative experience that at the end of it, you're going to evolve. Sadly, we're in it again, in my opinion. And I think we're going to reach this coalescence point, and it's going to make people motivated in some degree or matter, and we are going to move on to something different. And this is, and I guess what I'm trying to say, as much as I don't want to admit it, this is how the evolutionary chain keeps ticking, right? I mean, it needs to coalesce at some point. And, our politics, for, not to get off subject, but for the last 50 years, it's been pretty stale. There hasn't been a momentum builder to force that change. And unfortunately for us is we're so ignorant and apathetic that we don't get involved early enough till it gets to a point where it's out of control. But guess what? The ball's still rolling in the direction of evolution.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And so we're going to go through some more painful experience now because we chose not to act, but it's still going to happen. You know what I mean?
In a bit here.
So just to get, I think it happens regardless. So I agree with you. Hitler would have happened one way or another, whether Hitler or somebody else. I mean, it had to happen.
And I tend to lean much more towards the Hegelian dialect as well than a chaos theory. Than a chaos theory idea.
I'm a believer in evolution, and not in Darwin's aspect so much, but I believe in physical evolution, with animals, but also, emotional, evolution. I think we evolve, and I think what evolution is really is receiving more energy, And again, me and you can, we've all proven this. We could experience the same experience. Our perception is completely different.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
And why? Absolutely. In my viewpoint, why? I can receive it at a different level than you do.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So the experience to me means this. The experience to you means that, because how much value and experience and life we put on it, that's the net effect,
Okay, something I want to bring up that we probably won't cover this a whole lot. I was really hoping to have Ed chime in on this, actually.
Right.
But are you guys at all familiar? We've touched on this in other shows. Are you guys at all familiar with some of the CERN stuff?
Oh, yeah.
The super collider?
Yeah, the Large Hadron Collider thing. That I'm not an expert on this at all. I in no way am I an expert on the whether it be the conspiracies or the science or the speculation around CERN, which is the European Organization for Nuclear Research.
Right.
And I actually did some research a while ago thinking, what does CERN stand for? I feel dumb because everybody talks about CERN, I don't even know what it stands for. and because that isn't their original name.
It's some European name.
But yeah, the CERN stands for the European Council for Nuclear Research.
Right.
Which you're like, wait, and then you realize like, oh, it wasn't in English. Okay, fine. So it's French words that basically are saying the European Council for Nuclear Research.
Where is it? I can't remember where it is.
It's
in Switzerland.
It's in Sweden. It's in Sweden.
Switzerland.
I think it's in Switzerland.
I think it is in Switzerland.
Okay. So it's Switzerland. I'm sorry. But a lot of these things that kind of happen, tie into this. The different dimensions people have talked about. Have you guys heard about the floating cities at all? The big floating city in China.
Yes, we talked about it in the show.
And that they tie that into a big CERN experiment that was going
experiment way back.
Right. So I just wondering if you guys buy into that at all. That some of that our own tampering with the cosmos or with universes
let's
is
explain what CERN is basically they're taking atoms and neutrons specifically and accelerating them together, and what they're trying to do, the net effect is they want to get more energy out than they're putting in. That's the goal, because then you're very close to perpetual
creating energy
right. And that's what they're trying to find with these experiments. And the unknown is the unknown. So so they may tap into something here and there and going, oops,
Sure.
Which I'm sure happened in the Manhattan Project and some of their early experiments. They're going, their results did not meet their expectations of the experiment. Because you know what?
Right.
They don't know. And the CERN experiments are on the same page. They're kind of shooting in the dark, and again, the occurrence for these two neutrons to hit each other is so rare. You wouldn't believe all the collisions that are happening, and what you're hearing is just a byproduct. They haven't had it happen, so
Sure.
This is all byproduct stuff that's happening, in these experiments that they're learning from. And, so yeah, I would love to go to some of these national labs and just be a fly on the wall and hear the projects that are going on here in the United States too. Idaho National Laboratory, Oak Ridge, Los Alamos. These guys have some spook projects in there, deep in the caverns, probably 100 feet underground, where, very limited people even know what the hell these programs, and thank God the president needs to know what these things are.
Well, then, it's just what's really going on at Area 51.
Right. And I think what they're tapping into is, energy that they don't know how it doesn't confine to the science that's known at the time.
Well, Adam, do you remember the thing we played with the guy calling into the radio station?
Yes.
Give me some info. What was that radio host? Do you remember off the top of your head?
Give me a second. I'll be able to find it.
Okay. We played this on air before. And this is a guy who supposedly worked for Area 51, and then this whole radio station gets shut down.
I truly believe that some of their experiments were just out of control scientific experiments.
But what this dude is saying, basically, is that he's almost saying that aliens are ghosts. You could almost kind of make the
Art Bell.
Art Bell, yes. And basically, on this show, Art Bell, very famous, talk show host back in the day. Guy calls in. Starts talking about, hey, real quick, I gotta, I worked at Area 51. It's not aliens. It's not like you think. These are beings from a different dimension. And then the entire feed to the entire, nationwide radio station gets shut down. Art Bell starts talking about how, listen, I've been in radio a long time. I'm not saying anything.
He was on coast to coast.
Yeah, but he's basically saying, I've never seen the whole system just shut down like that. I've seen every technical difficulty there is to have. I've never seen it just shut off. And basically, but what this guy is trying to say, what he's trying to spit out before all this happens, is that it's not aliens. It's not like it's like they came here in flying saucers.
Right.
They're beings from a different dimension that can contact us, and with the abilities they give us, we can contact them back.
Do you honestly, truthfully believe if those people exist that it could be a secret this long?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Adam, do you? Do you think that secret could be kept? I just in today's media, there's absolutely no way that
but was it
you would
kept?
have a hard time convincing
was
me.
it kept? It's out there. People just then disinformation tells you to not believe.
Well,
it.
what you're talking about in their time frame, time doesn't matter. So they could be here now, anytime they want to be.
Sure.
Right? And are they? Who knows?
This is what you're talking.
I guess what I'm saying is, if that knowledge existed that they could communicate with this alternative dimension, it's a secret too big that no one can keep it. I really truly believe that. It's just too much.
Perhaps, yeah. I mean, perhaps.
I mean, so therein lies why I don't think it's that legitimate. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it goes along that same thinking, Josh. That if aliens do exist, then how come we haven't seen them?
Fermi's paradox.
Yeah.
This is the base idea behind Fermi's paradox is, like Adam said, the Drake equation states that there are billions of universes out there, and billions of, or at the very least millions of, there would have to be millions of places like ours where alien life could grow, and or even life similar to ours could grow, and that they would come here, or that we would see them, that they almost have to exist by this very well thought out equation known as the Drake equation, that there would have to be hundreds of thousands to millions, at the very least, at the lowest possible, figuring, that these would have to be out there. Fermi's paradox simply asks the question, sure, sounds great. Where are they? I mean, if there's all these aliens, where are they? This leads me to something that I'm a huge fan of, something we've done another show on, something that I fully admit, to give full disclosure, that I'm on board with this idea, and that is simulation theory. Simulation theory is something that I completely buy. And simulation theory, in essence, helps describe Fermi's paradox. I mean, it tells us why. Basically, Fermi's paradox is sometimes referred to as the cosmic silence. But why is there a cosmic silence when we have all these numbers stating that these other beings should exist? Well, it would either be, simulation theory would describe it in a way as, it is either not written into the code yet, or it is willfully concealed by those creating the simulation.
Or we have not evolved enough to get to that level.
Well, perhaps,
but same difference and different message.
No, that doesn't describe Fermi's. Oh, I'm sorry. That does not describe Fermi's paradox, though. That does something else. But where are the other people who are at our level? Because according to the Drake equation, there should be millions of those people. So even if we're not seeing the next level, what you're saying makes sense. It's something that totally works and that can be believed by you or others, but it does not describe the Drake equation or Fermi's paradox as to where are they? Where are the other dopes like us who are just, making the Starship Enterprise? I mean, sure, we're not looking for the Q continuum here. We're just looking for Captain Kirk.
That's an interesting question. Where are they? I think we're all out there. I just think that we're not connected. I mean, there's, the internet, the social media that we've all experienced the last 10, 15 years, it's divided. It's made us individuals.
You're saying we should be looking for aliens on Facebook?
Not so much that. I guess what I'm saying is the individual personal experiences have gone down.
Sure.
I mean, most people are communicating with people in the virtual world than they are physically.
Do you know what's something that is very basic to me, that is so not very scientific, but is very basic to me, that I always kind of use as a basic example, and this is way before you get into simulation theory, way before you get into multiverses or anything else, but when people talk about Fermi's paradox, I always say, well, we haven't been able to go to these other planets yet. Why do we think that they can? How do we know there isn't that there isn't hundreds of thousands of civilizations right around the same level as us?
Do you guys believe this is it? Do you think we're the only life experience in the universe?
No, I do not.
Adam, do you?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I don't either. But it is very interesting to me personally that there's really no physical evidence of it.
Do you know what
of any interconnected. Yeah, we believe it so wholeheartedly, but yet we have no proof.
Do you know what something I feel is strange?
It's true.
I realize this is something that philosophers, scientists, and mathematicians never give any credence to. And there's good reason to not give credence to it. I understand that the reason for not giving credence to it is because by the numbers, it is infinitesimally small to have this chance be true. But doesn't somebody always have to be the first one? Doesn't somebody always have to be the first person to do something? So what if we're the first ones?
There has to be an observer to observe.
Sure. But if there's other planets out there, doesn't somebody have to be the first person to reach the singularity? To get out there? What if we are the first ones to get there? We think of ourselves as so far.
Personally, I think we're just not that smart.
Yeah, well, I'm with
as a humanity, we're a little behind.
You could be right.
But behind who?
I don't know, but I feel like we have more potential.
Kyle, you just went on to say that you don't believe that interdimensional beings and these super aliens and everything else could be hidden from us. And we're all going on to say that we don't think we're that smart yet. What if we're the smartest ones out there?
God hope so.
What if there's a whole bunch of... Well, hey, we're getting there, though. We're trying, aren't we?
No, we're smart, but the rest of humanity bothers me a little.
What if there's a whole bunch of cavemen or colonists on all these different planets trying to work their way up to around the same level we're at?
So where do you think the upper echelon is, to go off topic here?
Oh, I think much higher than this, but...
To what? To what level? Jesus-like level? I mean, is that the experience that we are searching for? I mean, what is it that we're searching for?
Perhaps. Yeah.
Or do we want to, create an experience? I think it's kind of funny. We're all taught not to be, don't be selfish. Don't be selfish. You hear this talk all the time, right? Give to others, which is fine. I think that's a good thing. Help others as you can help them. At the same time, in order for you really to have a truly authentic experience, you almost have to be a little selfish.
Hey,
you know what I mean? You really do, because I'm a firm believer is we come in alone, we leave alone.
Cal,
so whose experience is it?
You're here talking to a firm Ayn Rand follower. So, selfishness is the only thing that drives us to even be a good person.
Well, I'm not saying to use it in a negative context.
I'm not using. I'm using it in the most positive context. Right. I'm talking Ayn Rand here. This is this is what her writings are all about, is you have to do what is best for you.
Right.
And that basically anyone who claims that they're not doing what's best for them, they're probably full of shit anyway. And truthfully, they're doing it for themselves.
Well, you have other,
you don't want to step all over people and treat people like garbage.
Right.
That doesn't benefit you at the end of the day.
No, because if you treat people like shit, guess what? You feel like shit. And why do you want to have that experience on your conscience?
Right.
Right? So you'd rather go through life treating people with the utmost respect and try to inspire them as best you can. I mean, that's my job. As a manager, my job is to inspire and to, manage, to find, put them in a place where they can excel. That's really what my job is all about. It's not about meeting this dollar quote, this other. I got to put people where I know they're going to do good.
Sure.
And progress, and be challenged. And, that's the bulk of management. Mm-hmm. It really is. And, so what do you have to do in that aspect? You have to be a people person. You got to get down and know people. So people want to be heard. That's, I had some dinner tonight with some work people, and that's the message I heard is they were just a sound that I took the time to have dinner with them.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Sure. Shame on me for not doing it more often, but at the same time, it teaches you something about life.
Sure.
You know what I mean? If you really, truly want to do something, get engaged.
Yeah.
Take a little bit of time. That's all it is.
Engaged. He doesn't mean get engaged to be married, by the way. He just means get engaged.
Yeah, Josh.
As
you're done with that.
Yeah,
that's no longer part of your life.
As
Take marriage out of your vocabulary.
Yeah, as we've discussed in the past on this show, marriage is punishment for shoplifting in some countries. So we definitely should not be going that route. That is not. That is the XCast is in no way endorsing engagement. in the cultural sense, but engagement in Kyle's sense, absolutely, positively.
Well, I think you just it's the human experience. That's the thing I hate about social media is it's driving people away from each other. When people don't know how to act.
Technology's our own worst nightmare.
I mean, Josh and I have you don't see it yet, but kids don't know how to play anymore. That is such a saddest damn thing.
Yeah,
you throw them out in the middle of the fields, like, oh, fine, they'll all sit around. What do we do?
Staring at phones.
Yeah, it's sad because when we were kids, son, get outside, bye.
Yeah,
you come home for dinner.
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't need to eat lunch. You didn't care.
What are you doing? Yeah, go lay in a field and look at the stars.
Whatever.
Yeah,
but life is different.
It is. Listen, we started to talk about simulation theory a little bit, and we're not going to break down simulation theory completely, but we're talking basically the idea that we are living in a computer program. We've done an entire show on this. We're going to do another show on it at some point because it's just such a fascinating topic to me. But this idea that we are, in essence, living in a computer program, there is a lot to back this up. And I want to tie this back into ghosts. Because if we are indeed living in a simulated reality, to me, this explains or can potentially explain what a ghost is. In essence, if everything around us is a computer program, we are digital on such a level so far beyond what we know that...
So ghosts are switches.
Ghosts could simply be leftover code from a past part of the simulation.
Right. No, here's what I'm saying. I'll go off on a little tangent.
Or from a previous simulation.
And who's to say that ghosts aren't intentionally put in there to change a direction or change a
right? Yeah.
The program.
This is basically
right.
This is the simulators,
or it's
controlling the simulation.
It's an unexpected consequence of a decision in the code that they didn't anticipate.
There's an old video game.
Ghost.
There's an old video game called Creatures, the computer game. And this game, Creatures, had a glitch in it. It's an out-of-date game now. This is nowhere near on par with, some of the new stuff that's coming up. This video game, Creatures, had a glitch. And basically, this glitch was when a character in the game died, part of the character would stay there on the screen for a little while. Some characters in the game would continue to interact as if that person or that being was still there. And some would act as if it was gone already, like it was supposed to be. Could a similar glitch exist in our simulation? Where a character dies, most of the people interact the way they're supposed to as if it is gone, but some of them still seem to see said character and interact with it. Or interact at least as if it is there.
The ratio is 35-65.
What was it?
The ratio that would perceive would be 35. The ratio that wouldn't perceive would be 65.
Perhaps. Yeah. I mean, that's...
You don't get the reference here.
I do not get the reference.
Trump's approval rating.
Oh. Sorry.
So 35% would see it. Again, the sky is blue. No, it's not. 65%. Yeah, you dumbasses. All
right. No, sorry. Not following the Trump references tonight. Try to get deep here, guys.
Sorry.
You can't get too deep with Trump.
No, you can't. So
we're past the puddle. Go.
So basically, I'm just trying to make the point that if this could happen unintentionally in a simulated universe that we create, could it happen unintentionally in the simulated universe that we are living in? Basically, another way I would put it is, okay, you're on your computer, right? And you got a video on there, you got something on there, and you put it in your recycle bin or your trash bin or whatever they used to call it. You know, now they call it recycle bin for, you know, because PC. But, so you put something in the recycle bin. A couple weeks later, you go look in your recycle bin, maybe you haven't emptied it yet. That thing's sitting in there, right? That video you put in your recycle bin is sitting in there. Adam, you're a computer guy.
Mm-hmm.
What happens when you click the video in your recycle bin?
When you click the video in your recycle bin,
One opens.
It plays, right?
Yeah.
Because it's still there. It was removed, but it's still there. It still plays
Until it's finally deleted.
like it was. So, are ghosts
In the delete
stuck
box.
in the recycle bin?
does it?
Are they
So
are
that's
they
your
there?
simulation tie-in.
Well, to some degree, yeah.
Yeah, all right, that's
You know,
good.
I mean, I just are ghosts this idea that they are code that was not fully deleted.
You know,
They, you know, and the thing is, you know, does the video play in the recycle bin?
it should. Yeah.
It should. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it plays crappily.
I don't think it plays crappily.
But
You're teasing my mind a little bit here because right now, you know, where I work, we do a lot of high energy. You know, we're making coatings on things, and you bring up this ghost theory. Now that I'm rationalizing this in my head, and a lot of times power supplies will fail because what we do is we're putting a lot of energy in, and we expect the power supply to convert and deliver to, you know, said whatever. The problem is these things fail. My rationalization is, why? You know, we're doing the same things over and over and over, supposedly, right?
Mhm.
So when I always ask about people when these machines fail, I go, what'd you guys do different? Because machines, like, they're creatures of habit. They want repetition.
yeah, they aren't creatures
Yeah.
at all,
So
right?
this is what I challenge my maintenance guys all the time. You guys did something to change. You changed the habit. Figure out what you did. Because you guys did something that changed this computer. You know what I mean? Or
It's not
how
ghost
it
in the machine.
received. That's my point. A ghost in the machine. Now, whether this ghost was created by something that someone did, which is very possibility,
Absolutely.
right?
The probably the more worthwhile possibility.
And or a ghost that was created by the software developers that didn't anticipate this problem because this problem doesn't occur till X point
sure.
of the machine running because of the thermal switch or something like that. You know what I mean? We would say that's a ghost, even though there's a very plausible explanation. That's why that occurred, right? In both instances, to me, it's a ghost reference because we don't understand it. But in the end, we will understand it. There will be a plausible explanation for either thing. So taking that analogy to real life, I think a lot of it is that our just misunderstanding of things that we don't
Could be,
understand.
but is real life a simulation?
Could
I
be.
mean, because I always, you know, when you're talking simulation,
You're
theory-
talking more like Matrix-y type stuff.
Well, yes, but okay, the Matrix movies. I love the Matrix movies, but the Matrix movies they are about simulation theory. They are about simulated universe, all that stuff. But they really take two different philosophies and put them into play. And basically, the two philosophies, they tend to say that the Matrix is more simulation theory, but it's more brain in the vat. You know, these are two different things. You know, you have your simulated universe and you have brain in the vat. Matrix is really more brain in the vat than it is simulation theory. Basically, brain in the vat, of course, being the idea that if you were nothing more than a brain floating in liquid in a glass jar, and there was a scientist, some evil mad scientist, or maybe not so evil mad scientist, poking and prodding said brain in the right spots and showing you that you were seeing this, what you're seeing right now, you could not possibly know the difference. There is no way, because everything we see is only what your brain is telling you saw. Nothing more. Nothing more.
Okay.
So if you are sitting in a... If your brain is in a vat and someone's poking and prodding in the right ways and sending the right electrodes to the right spot, you couldn't possibly know the difference. Say,
I just thought of a business.
I don't have... you don't actually have arms. Of course I have arms. I just felt a sharp pain in my elbow. Of course I have an arm. No, you don't. Your brain is in a vat.
Right.
And it told you that you have an arm, and then a sharp pain just came.
Kind of like a dream.
Sure. Yeah. Which.
So dream, wouldn't you call that almost simulation?
Yeah. I mean, what is a dream? Is a dream a different universe?
Some people think that that's a proof positive of there being a alternate or parallel universe.
Well, multi-universe.
Yeah.
Again, I think the inner voice and dream state, I could put those two in the same
you were
category.
kind of making that point earlier, Kyle, and that's a lot of people do believe that the dreams are showing you a different universe.
Right.
Same thing with deja vu, and what's the other one?
Synchronicity.
Deja vu.
Or wait a second, I think I have it here.
Well, there's deja vu, there's deja vu, and there's alter vu.
Alter vu, yeah. What's the middle one you just said?
Deja vu. This is okay. Well, deja vu we all know is the feeling that you've done this before, or that you've experienced this before. Deja vu is that moment when you were able to predict what would happen next.
Right. Oh, stay on the street. The car's going by.
Yeah. Alter vu, or also commonly or culturally,
His intuition,
is the Mandela effect. What we've talked about many times over and over again.
Which it totally exists.
Yeah, I mean, the alter vu is this. You have a memory. This is in the past. You have a memory of something happening differently than it did. Is alter vu. And they, of course, use the Mandela effect because of as it turns out, maybe up to even tens of thousands of people who firmly believe that Nelson Mandela died in prison before he was released and did most of the stuff that he's very famous for doing.
And the Berenstain Bears.
Berenstain Bears, yes, of course.
Berenstain Bears,
the Shazam movie with Sinbad is another big one, which they kind of make fun of a lot on the internet. You guys ever looked into that?
Did you guys read up on that Japanese guy from Tyrode?
Yeah.
From Torrid, the man from Torrid? Yes.
Yep. Torrid.
Yes, the man from Torrid is fascinating.
It is.
No, I mean, for those of you listening who don't know, this man... flew into Japan.
He's in the 50s, I think.
Yep. He had a passport saying that he was from a European country called Torrid.
That he says existed for thousands of years.
Yeah, for over 100 years.
Yes.
For over 100 years. The official country known as
Torrid.
Torrid.
He said 1,000, actually.
Well, no, he actually said they had a history of that, but he said the official nation had existed for over 100 years.
Okay.
He appears in Japan. His passport had actually been stamped by Japan in the past, showing that he actually had... This wasn't his first time.
A less observant passport person.
Perhaps.
Customs agent.
Yep.
Or perhaps he was from a alternate universe where Torrid did exist.
Finish the story.
He knew exactly where Torrid was. He showed them exactly where Torrid was. They had no idea what to do with him. So the airline put him up in a hotel under heavy security because they had no idea what to think. And the next morning, his hotel room was empty.
He's gone.
He was gone.
Mm-hmm.
There is the other example. Also, I believe this was in Europe. I'm not sure. Of the woman who woke up, everything was normal, came into work, and she remembered no one.
Things were slightly off.
I think her name is Lorena Garcia.
Yeah. She did work there, but she didn't work in the same department. She was working under a person that she said she never met.
And the boyfriend thing.
Yeah, she was still with the boyfriend that didn't.
No, she actually woke up with her ex-boyfriend.
Okay. Yeah. She woke up with what she thought was her ex-boyfriend, but it was now her husband, I think.
Or
right?
current boyfriend.
Her fiance.
But her mind, it was an ex.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everything in her whole day was just a bit off. It's kind of how I heard the story myself.
Yeah, and then she was just supposed to, I guess, continue on with said life.
Yeah. Can you? I mean, how would you? I mean, Josh, if you woke up tomorrow and just say that Adam's name was now Steve.
Mm-hmm.
My name was George.
Mm-hmm.
And we were adamant about it. It's
Right.
like, what the hell, dude? You don't know who I am?
Right.
How would you feel? I mean, would you go say, I'm just going checking in, 6th floor, call me up?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect thinking,
Yeah,
what's in this beer?
Yeah, because we're just talking little stuff, right? You're just talking.
No, and again, that's interesting that it's little stuff.
Yeah, I mean, she did still work there at that place. She just worked in a different department. She worked on a different floor, and she worked under a boss that she supposedly worked under for a long time, but she'd never heard of him, never seen him, never met him.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Every day that happens to
It's
me.
like...
No.
No, and this is...
I keep going to this building and they know who I am, so I say, "Oh, good deal."
They keep paying your giving
the
you a
paycheck's there.
paycheck.
The wife is happy. We're all good.
No, I was talking with this simulation theory a lot too, and how it can be helped to potentially use or to describe how ghosts exist. Some believe
You're
that
calling
this
it.
is
Hey, you forgot the most famous movie of all.
what?
Wreck-It Ralph, man. A glitch in the program.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Right?
Which one is that?
Wreck-It Ralph?
Wreck-It Ralph.
Never heard of it.
You will see it soon.
Yeah, your kid will want to see it.
Yeah. Well, there's a glitch.
It's about video games. Yeah.
Oh, is it?
And there's a glitch that changes the experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, how ironic,
Yeah.
right?
No, for sure. Some people use this to talk about UFOs as well.
Mhm.
Are UFOs simply a manifestation of something else from a separate universe or inserted by simulators? Because so many people talk about when they see a UFO that it just can come and go. It vanishes. Doesn't always fly away. It just kind of just gone.
Clears out a spit, yeah.
Yeah, it's just gone. It's just gone. Now we write that off as, oh, they have something beyond light speed. It's just gone. It just looks like that to our eyes.
Unless you're the Black Knight satellite.
Right. But I feel like so much of this can be tied into ghosts and UFOs and simulation and multiverse and parallel universe and this is kind of where a lot of this just kind of comes to a head. Now, something that I think you guys are going to get on board with because it involves the craziness that is Donald Trump being our president. There are a lot of people who theorizing now. Now, this could be some of their own political beliefs kind of running wild in their head, but a lot of extremely intelligent people in universities. You have a lot of people, a lot of scientists, a lot of academia who are on board with the simulation theory and are starting to ask the question. Now, Kyle, you've mentioned things about how we aren't very engaged. Social media is throwing us for a loop.
I think I described it as this is an evolutionary step.
Right. Well,
and so we're just coalescing the energy because we've been apathetic too long. We haven't been involved.
Perhaps, but they have a different theory.
What's their theory?
They have a different theory. Their theory, and this is based upon simulation theory. Another one, and we'll get into this. I know you guys are big football fans. Goes back to last year's Super Bowl. And goes back to last year's Oscars. Remember where they announced the
winner and then it was changed.
The wrong, and then it was changed. There are many people starting to question whether or not the people controlling our simulation are still paying attention. And that perhaps some of the craziness that has been around...
Well, they must have had one wild-ass party and passed out when they got Trump in there.
Maybe. This is not too dissimilar from what some top scientists are saying right now. Is our world kind of flying off the handle because our handlers aren't flying it anymore?
This kind of explains some down periods in history, like the Dark Ages or something.
Right.
Sure. And
that was a big party.
Okay, remember the
Yeah, no kidding.
remember the Super
Big and long.
Remember the Super Bowl last year? The Super Bowl last year,
Tom Brady and
Patriots are getting their ass kicked, right? And then all of a sudden it changes. You ever played Madden? or NCAA or
Yeah.
you know, any of the football
I
games
haven't,
for
but yeah.
you know,
Enlighten me.
but you know the. And it almost kind of seemed like that moment in a game, because you know, all of a sudden you have this team's just getting decimated. They're just getting their ass kicked. They're like terrible, and then all of a sudden, just like great, amazing plays. You know, just these just incredible plays that you don't see watching football all year. Just this incredible stuff happens. It's almost kind of like when you're middle-aged guys, you know, trying to play a video game, and it's just not working. Then he hands the controller to his teenage son, and he just kicks its ass. Like that moment when you're giving the controller back and forth, and you think, ah, man, I can't beat Scorpion for the life of me on Mortal Kombat. But then you hand it to your buddy, and he just makes it look so easy. It's you know, it's kind of like that. And you know, when we think about simulation theory or think about a simulated universe or a multiverse, we like to think that there's some greater purpose to all of it. That there's some incredible purpose to all of it. That's why the ghosts are there. That's why we see this. That's why all this stuff is happening. There's some insane purpose that we could never understand. But to put it simply, what if the guy operating our simulation's an asshole? What if he's just messing with us? What if it's some prankster who's just kind of screwing around? What if they gave up on... What if this simulation had a purpose some time ago, and then they handed the controls over like, this one's done. Just mess around with it. See what you can do with it. Do something. What if the future is so grand that there are so many simulations, which this gets into quantum simulation theory, by the way, that the idea that if you believe that we are undoubtedly in a simulation, like Nick Bostrom teaches, and we won't get into that because the show's running late, but if you believe in simulation theory, you kind of almost have to believe in quantum simulation theory, which states that if you're in a simulation, you're more likely to be in one of the mega simulations that happen way in the future, because if you live in a simulation, if you reach a level where they can simulate universes and they're doing 1,000 of them, well then from there you'd reach a quantum simulation level where they're doing millions of them every day. So basically, what if you're not even in one of the good simulations? What if you're some 8th grader's science project?
I'm going to tee off on your point real quick.
Sure.
Okay. What if, you know, my premise is about thought, right? Brought it up a few times tonight. Mm-hmm. So let's just say, you know, really the reality is thought, I think, creates and manifests reality for people based on what they do, right? Mm-hmm. Correlates to simulation. So basically what that means is that my upper limit in simulation theory is higher than, say, somebody else's, mm-hmm. right? Meaning I can achieve more in this world if I choose to versus somebody else, right? Because their limit is here. They'll never achieve beyond that. That's kind of where they are. Mm-hmm. And this kind of correlates when you stop and rationalize people. We're all kind of seeming to be at different levels.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, both intellectually, socially, whatever, physically, we all kind of are at different levels all the time. We're all kind of gauged by that. Mm-hmm. So who's to say that that's part of the simulation is we're at the limit. And then once you reach that limit, you've qualified to go to the next level. And it's an evolutionary step up from there.
Absolutely, could be. And are you trying to get to the next simulation, or are you trying to get beyond the simulation?
Exactly.
Is that heaven?
Well, I think innately, you know, our inherent struggle would be to achieve the simulation and get out of it.
Sure.
Right? And little do we know, once we achieved it, you're right back in the next one.
Perhaps.
You know?
Perhaps.
So we could just make a movie.
Kyle, I know you're not a gamer, but are you familiar with the term MMORPG?
No.
Okay, that is a massive multiplayer online role-playing game.
Okay.
World of Warcraft?
Yeah, that is World of Warcraft.
Okay.
EverQuest. These are the games where you're controlling a singular character within a massive universe.
Okay.
Now, I have a kind of a strange theory about that. What if that is what we are in? Now, I tend to not believe that, because I tend to believe that we're a simulated universe and we're digital. We are for the most part digital and just created and put into this. But what if we are being created? What if we are being controlled by someone else? This, if you go by the MMORPG model, then we're each being controlled by somebody.
They're putting limits on you. Right? You are not unlimited.
Right. Correct.
And I have a hard time with that because I think we are limited, and what limits us is our experiences from the past.
But what if what is limiting us is the person who's controlling us? As in, for instance, hang on, let me get to this though,
go ahead.
because this is okay. Now, if you ever played these games, you got your big time nerds, right? You got the guys who don't work, live in their parents' basement, and who just dedicate everything to this game. They they play 20 hours a day. They're obsessed with it. And then you have the people who, maybe they don't put any money into it. Maybe they don't put, they just play it for fun every once in a while. Play it, for shits and giggles. Play a little bit here, a little bit there. Maybe cut it out for a week or two. Then come back to it, something like that. And then you got the people that just play to be dopes, that like go in there and try to screw with everybody and be stupid and do nasty stuff on purpose or to screw it up or to see how many times I can jump off the cliff.
You just describe our reality. Keep going.
So what if that nerd in his parents' basement, who's just awesome at the game, who just works so hard and pumps all their extra cash into it and just plays their butt off, is that the person controlling Barack Obama? Or Tom Brady? Or Donald Trump? Or, I don't, any one of these amazing people that accomplish so much, and is that dope who maybe pops on once a week or something and does something? Is he controlling me?
Well, the irony of your conversation, just to sum it up, we had some Twitter jack shut down the president of the United States. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's cool. It's kind of like being the awesome dude in Call of Duty and getting killed by a noob.
So to answer your question, it's possible because it happened.
Yeah. I mean,
right? He shut down Donald Trump for how many minutes? 11 minutes or whatever it was. He shut him down.
Yeah. Right.
By code.
Right.
That's crazy when you think about it.
Yeah.
So it kind of supports your simulation theory.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you're like the badass sniper in Call of Duty, and then some noob comes in and like takes you out.
Who is this kid? We don't know who this kid is, and we'll never be know. And you know what? It's old news.
Oh, they've probably already scooped him up for the cicada. What's the thing called, Adam? The cicada 33. What is it? You guys know what I'm talking about?
No, I guarantee you that Trump hired him and says, "You are my Twitter guy. Don't ever let that happen to me again."
Maybe. If he's smart, that's what he did. But hey, we bounced around a lot tonight, everybody. We talked about a lot of crazy stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was we definitely bounced around. What was tonight's topic? I think it's harder to tell what tonight's topic was now than it was before we started.
Ghosts and parallel
universes. We tried to cover a lot. I hope it was profound. I hope you guys got something out of it. Like so many of our Deep Issues shows, I feel like we probably left you with more questions than we did answers, but that isn't necessarily a bad thing. It is time to go to Pumpkin. It is time to find out what our next Deep Issue will be. Our Deep Issue expert and special guest, Kyle Puska, will choose randomly. Really, Pumpkin chooses it. Pumpkin is the one that actually chooses it. But Kyle will pull the piece of paper out from the pumpkin, and our host, our fearless leader, Adam Hernandez, will read it aloud. What will the next Deep Issue be, Mr. Hernandez?
Next Deep Issues will be this. Will this be the first one of 2018?
It will be. It will be the first one of 2018.
First one of 2018.
What you got? I like that look on your face. It's cute.
Scientology.
Yes! We've been waiting for that one to happen. Oh, okay. Very cool. Very cool.
Are we going to try to get Leah? Let's bring her in as a guest.
Leah Remy? Yeah, maybe we should.
That'd be great.
Leah Remy?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we should.
Yeah, let's have her in.
2018
Be a
will
good
be
start,
an
right?
excellent year for the XCast. Cannot wait for this one.
I've watched that show, so I got some good combo. I might have to make this one for sure.
Yeah, I hope you can, Kyle. I hope you can.
No, that show that she does. I am surprised.
I'm surprised at how many people get so brainwashed.
Yeah, me too.
Now, Adam and I have been wanting to do this one for a long time. I cannot wait. This will be a great way to kick off 2018. Kyle, you are always welcome, and I really hope you can make that one.
Yep,
You'll be
a shot. Yep.
You'll be a good addition. And thanks everybody for tuning in to webisode number 66P. We'll be back here next week for a regular edition of the XCast right here on theempiremedia.com, Facebook Live, and about a dozen other places. Thanks so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. See you on the next one. Thanks, everybody.
See ya.
Yep, good night.
Stay spooky.